Hallo und herzlich willkommen zurück zu einer weiteren Folge Chäos hat Noah. Und gerade informieren wir uns hier über die New Gen Murders und gehen quasi unser selber mentalen Image nochmal vor. Keine Ahnung, auf jeden Fall informieren wir uns gerade über die New Gen Murders und sind jetzt beim dritten Fall angekommen, then came the third case. The murder case I had witnessed dubbed the crucifixion. The site didn't have much info on this case, likely due to it having only occurred recently. The victim, 56-year-old Ota Hisashi, was a university professor who had been crucified with stakes to the concrete wall of a vacant house. That was all that had been publicly revealed. Many of the neighboring residents had claimed that for over an hour after the time the crime was thought to have occurred around 8 p.m. they could hear the sound of nails being hammered into something. Even I had heard the sound. I could hear it even now, a horrible, terrifying sound. On a related note, no connection between the third case and the group dive or the man-child had been discovered yet. But with it being the third abnormal incident to happen in quick succession in Shibuya, the crucifixion was naturally treated as another New Gen incident. The police and mass media believed that all the crimes had different culprits, but the predomination opinion online, or rather what most of the net hoped was going on, was that the crime either shared a single culprit or an organized group of culprits. There also were many occult-based theories whispered about online, such as that everything had begun with the earthquake from 2 months ago. 2 months ago, an earthquake with a seismic intensity of 3 occurred, with Shibuya as its epicenter. Although the scale was fairly minor, there were still 8 fatalities, which became a popular topic of discussion. Come to think of it, it was true that the New Gen case had begun after that earthquake. Because of that, the New Gen occultists argued that the 8th death in the earthquake should be accounted as the first New Gen incident, causing a dispute between them and the New Gen mainstreamers. Regardless, the entire situation was abnormal, after all, despite the fact that the 3 brutal cases had occurred in quick succession. No clues on any of the culprits had been found. And many online were waiting eagerly for a 4th case. Na toll. If I wasn't directly connected to it all, I probably would have joined in on the chaos myself, posted in a few threads, made a few theories. I could have been waiting excitedly for the 4th incident as this very moment. Damn it. All these assets were just having the time of their lives, weren't they?
犯人を早く捕まえてくれよ。
A week had passed since the crucifixion, but neither the demon girl nor the police had made any moves. If they knew I had been at the scene of the crime, they would definitely come and question me about it, but there hadn't been any signs of that actually happening. Thank God. It looked like I wasn't going to get dragged into this after all.
あなたには予知能力がありますか?
That claim you had thrusted at me flashed into my
予知能
mind.
力があるって思わなきゃ納得できないような画像データをあなたが持っていたから。
Even though I had finally started to relax, that feeling of despair came flying right back in an instant. In the image sent by Shogun, the data was still on my PC. Yua's claims were no more than delusions she had dreamed up. Her deduction were a total stretch, not to mention logically bankrupt. While I might have ended up not asking about it in the hospital today, the idea of me doing things without remembering them was completely absurd, utterly impossible. I mean, nothing like that had ever happened to me before. So the gory image was obviously faked.
だったらさ、
Ui, die nächste Illusion.
合成だって証拠を見つけちゃえばいいさ。あの画像解析しちゃおうよ。
but it's so disgusting. I really don't wanna look at it any more than I already have.
あの女を論破しちゃえばタッキーはもう怯えることなく平穏な生活に
Bimbo.
戻れるの
Oh man, ey.
やるしかないっし
Of course, she was exactly right. Yeah, had talked to me as if I were the culprit behind the crucifixion, but that wasn't true at all. I mean, I had seen the culprit's face, as if I would let you put the blame on me after that. So with a gulp, I double-clicked on the folder where the images were scratched. Ooh. It was the first time in 3 days that Ban Yasuji had set foot in the Shibuya police station conference room. The investigation meeting for the Muramacho crucifixion homicide case had already begun, and Ben was greeted with universal gazes of displeasure for his tardiness. Ben forced a polite smile before heading down to sit. He supposed that it was not quite the right time to reveal that he had been cooped up in the bathroom with diarrhea. The Mirage had... Okay, ich lass dieses Wort mal weg. Had been assigned to the Shibuya police station on the morning after the incident. As they were lacking in manpower due to the Cornelius Tower mass suicide case and the Shibuya station undergrad and fetal homicide case. Even the third-rate Assistant Inspector Ben, whom the Metropolitan Police Department Investigation Division weren't practically begging to retire, had been called in by the main office. Moreover, as well as the incidents had occurred within the Shibuya police station jurisdiction, it was an unusual situation in which a single jurisdiction station was utilizing 3 special investigation teams. Because of this, operations were made quite difficult, with the 3 investigation teams having access to only one large conference room that they had to alternate between. The mass media was hailing it all as one large case known as Newgen, and there were rumors that the police would combine the 3 investigation teams in order to make Newgen investigation division, thus solving the issue of manpower. All the detectives found this prospect completely asinine, regarding it as nothing more than an absolute joke. Band Superior Inspector Matsunaga, who was in charge of the investigation team, called out to Ben with a piercing gaze. But Ben did not notice this. He simply continued to cool himself down with a hand fan as he took a moment to recuperate. Ban, nicht Ben. Okay, Ban. Ich finde Ban super. Der Typ ist geil. The whispers of Bans partner, a rookie named Suba, finally got him to realize he was being caught. Und falls man es nicht vergisst, diese Person, die war an Takumis Schule gewesen schon. Im Hintergrund. Takumi hat ihn für einen Lehrer gehalten. Ich weiß jetzt gar nicht mehr, in welcher Folge das war, aber das war irgendwo, wo er mit Yua unterwegs war, ein Date oder dergleichen. Da hat er ihm im Hintergrund gesehen und hat ihn für einen jungen neuen Lehrer gehalten. Oh.
すんません。報告は諏訪から。
自分っすか？
俺がいなくても報告しとけって言っといたろうが。早くしろ。
Suva sighed as his superior jabbed him in the elbow, then stood up straight and tall.
犯行現場近くの監視カメラの解析がようやく出ました。犯行時間に不審な人物が映ってました。
Murmurs occurred throughout the conference room. The relaxed atmosphere from before had been turned on its head. The other detectives began to take frantic notes in order to not miss a single word of Silver's report. Considering the situation, it was no surprise they were so frantic about it. After all, 3 horrific cases had occurred within the jurisdiction in the span of a single month, only one of which was not ruled as a homicide as of yet. The strong determination to find the culprit even in the face of their reputation was
プ
only
ロジェクター
natural.
に映像を出します。
As per the instructions Ben had given him in advance, Suva had the projector display in the footage on the projector screen. The projector shown an image of the confined, filthy back alley in a back alley of Marum Yamacho. It was night, and there were very few streetlights present, so virtually nothing was
犯行
visible.
現場から約50メートル離れたところにあるコインパーキングの監視カメラです。
The parking lot was only big enough to fit 2 vehicles. It was a tiny plot of land interposed between 2 buildings, and it was constructed without any real care as well. The scene of the crime was not visible in the footage, not even the path leading to it could be seen. All it displayed was a road wall that was one farther away from the crime scene. The video had no sound. Ich bin mir ziemlich sicher, dass ich noch weiß, was da gleich zu sehen sein wird. The time the video had been recorded was graciously displayed on the bottom right hand corner of the screen.
犯行現場近隣の住民の証言により、21時過ぎから21時半頃まで釘を打ちつける音がしていたというのはご承知の通りだと思いますが、この映像は21時34分、つまりまさに犯行時間直後ということになります。不審人物が映っているのは21時34分53秒からおよそ6秒間です。駐車場の前の道を奥から手前へと走り抜けていきます。
Yep. Wenn das nicht unser guter alter Takuminisi Joe ist, der da auf dem Bild zu sehen ist. Immediately following Suba's explanation, a silhouette appeared on the footage. They seemed to be in a great hurry and ran from the back. As the resolution was quite poor, not even the gender could be ascertained at a glance, but Ben had already gotten in the crime laboratory to analyze that very point.
科捜研で解析した結果、映っている人物は男。年齢は10代後半から20代とのことっす。です。人相の判別までは無理でした。服装がかなり特徴的ですが、これは小島にある私立水明学園の男子制服と分かりました。それと右手に注目してもらいたいんですが。
The image enlarged on the right hand as a suspicious individual, it appeared to be grasping something.
スローで再生するとわかるが、走りながら腕を振っている際、この握りしめている何かが駐車場の照明に反射して光を放ってるんだな、これが。
Now it's a good part. Ben took over Suva's explanation.
からして犯行に使われた十字架型の杭である可能性がある。
The detectives continued to murmur noisily. The crucifixion culprit, maybe a high schooler? The proposition was fairly shocking to them. After all, it meant that the new John Matters moniker that the mass media had been pushing could actually become reality.
最も犯人に近い人物がこの少年だということか。
そういうことになりますね。
Ben stroked the stubble on his jaw. It was a habit of his. Whenever he felt one step closer to cornering the culprit, he would always reach for that satisfying scraping
以上で
sensation.
す。
Suba took a deep breath and sat down.
ひどいっすよ先輩。美味しいところ持ってって。
Ignoring Suba's groaning, Ben once again burned the image of the high school boy into his mind.
ようやく尻尾を出したんだ。そいつを掴んで離さねえようにしないとな。
Besser nicht. Das klingt auch leicht creepy. Internet Cage erstmal. Also. Sure enough. The image Shogun had sent was in the cage folder. was its name. Obviously a part of me was still hesitant to even look at it. I mean, it was a pretty fucking nasty image. Grotesque as hell too. I was sure, just looking at it right back to the scene of the crucifixion, where the violent scene had taken place right in front of me. But even then I needed to expose your flawed logic, and therefore guarantee my own safety and innocence. Thankfully, since Seraton was there for me, I could handle a little bit of gore. Mustering all the courage I had, and I double-clicked the file. God, it was so gory. But compared to the crucifixion scene I had seen in person, it wasn't quite as bad. Telling myself that the image had to be fake, I was just barely able to stomach it. When I first received the image, I'd closed it immediately after looking at it once. I hadn't inspected it thoroughly. This time, holding back the urge to vomit, I decided to examine the image in excruciating detail. I didn't know much about how to tell whether a picture was fake or not, but taking a look at the shadows, seeing if there was anything off about the surrounding area, and all stuff like that should probably be enough. The only possibility I had in mind was the photo had been taken in advance, and the crucifixion corpse had then been put on top of it using CGI. And then the day after, Shogun had sent the picture to me that executed the crime exactly as they had edited in the image. Thanks to the poor resolution and how dark the image was, I could only really see the stakes, leaving the identity of the victim unclear. Light was only hitting the area surrounding the corpse, yet something about the image was just begging for me to look at the crucifixion itself. I felt like that was the intent of the person who made it. I mean, come on, focusing that much light around the corpse was kinda overkill, don't you think? Well, it wasn't like I'd been paying close attention to the actual crime scene, so I couldn't really jump to conclusion. In the picture, the demon girl wasn't standing in front of the crucified corpse. But when I opened my eyes and looked, I noticed a silhouette in a dark spot in the left side of the image. I'd almost completely missed it. Ich weiß, wer da steht. Due to the low resolution of the image, the shadow and the figure stood and blended perfectly into the surrounding scene. You could easily miss it if you weren't paying close attention. Obviously the image was fake, but what if the person who had taken the photo had accidentally left themselves in it? If they had, it was possible that they had forgotten to edit themselves out when they tampered with the image. It looked like they were wearing a sumo uniform. In that case, it had to be the demon girl. She had been wearing one at the time of the crime after all. But when I took a closer look, I noticed that the figure hair was actually pretty short. The demon girl... Ich glaube, hier sieht man's. Ich bin mir gerade nicht sicher. Mein Bildschirm spiegelt dafür gerade zu sehr, als dass ich es leider vernünftig erkennen kann. Verdammt, egal. The demon girl had long hair like you are. Alright, time for the computer magic. I needed the details here. I opened up some image processing software and dragged the image in. And then, with a big gulp, I selected the levels option in the adjusted menus and brightened the once darkened corners of the image.
Hä?
Ups. Hä? Du siehst dich da selbst. What the hell?
Nandaこれ
Pictured on the screen was unmistakably
僕だ
me. How was it me? It didn't make any sense. I had never been in there before September 29th. It was fake. It had to be fake. I couldn't find any bit of proof that it was, but it absolutely has to be. Nothing made sense otherwise. I mean, Shogun had sent the image on the 28th, and the crucifixion murder case had occurred on the 29th. If the image was of what had happened on the 29th, then that would mean it was a picture taken from the future.
あなたには予知能力がありますか？
うるさい、そんなはずはないんだ。
I kicked the plastic bottle at my feet and closed the paint program. I checked the file's properties to see when it was made, and then I lost all words. The timestamp was the 28th, but that wasn't but that was the least of my worries. In the comment section of the properties menu was a single encompasses a sentence my eyes couldn't look away from. Whose eyes are these? Whose eyes are those eyes? Oof. I slammed my hands on the keyboard before shoving it to the edge of my desk. I clutched my head.
セーラ助けて。
I could barely hold back my tears. What the hell had I done to deserve a whole week of nothing but more and more insane bullshit? Why was I the only one that had to deal with this shit? Hang on a second. If they had somehow managed to get a photo of me and then they'd edited it into the image of the crime scene, that would either mean Shogun had taken a photo of me without my consent, or that he had somehow obtained my photo from another source. And considering how he had suddenly entered the chat room and started talking to me right after Grimm had left, he had likely been aiming for me and me alone from the very start. Shogun might very well have discovered my real identity. If that was true, then Shogun, the demon girl, anyone could raid my best at any moment, and then I would be abducted. I felt a chill, the nape of my neck. It was the gaze again. There was something there, watching me. Don't look at me. Did you really think I would turn around? I knew the rules of the game better than anyone. It will take more than that to make me turn around game. Fear sent goosebumps all over my body, and I felt a strong urge to check that the door was locked, but instead of doing that, I just continued to stare at my monitor, as I was way too stubborn to let myself loose. Unable to calm down, I opened my default word processor and wrote down everything on my mind.
きっとそうに決まってる。
Shogun Demon Girl's underling, you are Shogun's underling. That has to be it. As I stared fearfully at the word demon, I began to wonder if the girl at this crime scene was actually a real demon. I mean, come on, she couldn't be human by any means. If she was a demon, she might actually be able to see the future. And if she could see the future, projecting a scene from the future onto a picture via psychic photography would be child's play. It would line up perfectly with how she had somehow managed to carry out the Gruß, some crucifixion all on her own. She had then gotten her underling Shogun to send the image to me, a person who she knew would end up accidentally witnessing the crime scene. I didn't know why she had done that. Maybe it was a threat. This will be you next if you tell anyone what you saw. Or maybe it was a death sentence. You're next. And if that really was what it meant, then...
勝てるわけがない。
Oh, scheiße gelaufen.
奴らにいつ殺されてもおかしくないんだ。
Ungünstig. Oh, ist das nicht Yua? Ich glaube Yua. Kusunoki Yua faced the PC in her room, her profile gravely serious. She swiftly read through the information displayed on the monitor. Before long, Yua let out a small sigh and released her hand from the mouse, glancing at the piece of paper sitting within reach of her. It was the very same paper she had put before Nishicho Takumi the day before, the printout of the chat log between Nighthead and Shogun. Yua muttered a single name. The view of Takumi sitting alone on the Shoto Park bench appeared in her mind, before she quickly shook her head to drown it out. Suddenly she looked behind herself in surprise.
今、誰かに見られていたような。
Her gaze stopped upon the large stuffed gear of her froggy enshrined on her bed. Wondering if it had just been her imagination, she tilted her head in puzzlement. Then she slowly rose to her feet, walked over to her bed, and fell onto it head first. the sheets made of the sun. It seemed that her mother had kindly dried the futon earlier today. Your bird, her face in that relieving scan, her gaze wandering about vacantly. Her room was very neat and orderly, placing her meticulously personality on full display. This expressly applied to a large bookshelf, which was rather incongruous for a room sized at around 13 square meters. It was packed tightly with countless books, leaving hardly any gaps. However, charmingly, the lower half consisted of nothing but complex academic books, computing, related books and other similar materials, contrasting greatly with the upper half, which was filled with shoujo manga and anime DVDs. With another side, you turned her body face up and stared at the ceiling. Oh, DID. Das ist ein wichtiger Begriff, daher. Das ist hier wirklich ein sehr wichtiger Begriff für das hier. Dissociative Identity Disorder. A condition in which a single person has more than one personality. A personality is defined as a continuous pattern of engaging with one's environment while being aware of the environment and the ego. In other words, a human being's ego presents itself by recognizing the continuous passage of time, confirming that the actions and subsequently received information are consistent and from there is themselves. Personality change in DID is sudden and can be triggered by psychological stress, social stress, as well as various other environmental factors. The disorder is characterized by many cases in which the different personalities do not retain the same memories. The age of onset is in early childhood, but it may not always be clinically apparent. It is easier for the disorder to become chronic should the patient have experienced some form of childhood abuse or psychological trauma. It was first referred to as multiple personality disorder in the DSM-3, Diagnostic and Statistical Manual in Mental Disorder 3rd edition, published in 1980 by the American Psychiatric Association. And while the name may be commonplace, it has not been used since the DSM-4, 1994. Yep. Condition, Continuous Pattern, Ego Persons, Das ist das, was ich gerade eben vorgelesen habe. Ach verdammt, she muttered the name of the mental illness she had just been researching. An explanation related to it was still displayed on her monitor.
辛いんですね。
Yoa hugged the stuffed Geo froggy by her pillow tightly as she thought about Takumi.
私
However, her expression soon vanished, replaced only by the gritting of her teeth. It hurts to breathe. All I was doing was looking things up on my PC, yet it hurts to breathe. I could feel my heart pounding harder than it ever had before. And of course, the feeling that something was watching me would not go away. I was still just barely keeping myself from turning around, but I knew I couldn't do it for much longer. I cried out angrily at whatever it was. Surely it wasn't the demon girl, right? Oh god, but if it was. She could be using second sight or clairvoyance. Or some other demonic power to spy on me. The chills on the back of my neck were gradually growing stronger, and to the point where they were getting slightly painful, like jolts of electricity coursing through my body. I was covered from head to toe in sweat. The front of my t-shirt was completely soaked. Unable to take it in, I wiped around my chair as forcefully as I could, and yet all I saw was my room, in the same condition as always. I didn't see a single thing that shouldn't have been there. Oh shit. With a yell that was closer to a shriek than anything, I burst up from my chair and went to make sure the door was locked, and to and much to my relief it was. I wiped away the sweat on my forehead with my sleeve. Returning to my PC, I focused on the monitor once more. It was still displaying what I had been researching earlier, precognition. When I was a kid, I had truly believed that precognition existed, that psychics existed, and if I was being completely honest, I still did to a degree. That was why my first thought had been that the image from Shogun and the demon girl was a precognition photograph, a thought which only drove me to look into it all the more. What if, maybe, just maybe, there were tons of psychics all over the world and I just didn't know? Back when I was a kid, when that bus accident happened, I had managed something that had been pretty close to precognition. For that reason, I couldn't completely rule out its existence. But no matter how much I searched, all I could find was extremely dubious articles about the occult, voodoo shit, or whatever else. There was absolutely nothing that proved scientifically whether it existed or not.
一つぐらいあってもいいだろう。
Growing increasingly frustrated, I violently tapped away at the keyboard. I couldn't deal with how anxious not having a concrete answer made me. Was the word really telling me to give up, to wait here trembling in fear of demons that might or might not come? I couldn't stay the same like that. Of course, I would have vastly preferred to learn that precognition didn't exist, but regardless of what the truth was, I need to know it badly. Pretty much out of the option, I decided to take a look at the Ad Channel's occult board. The place was typically home to nothing but total bullshit noise. Lies and misinformation mainly. But it actually had some pretty mind-blowing and even useful information scattered on it sometimes. Biting back how frantic I was, I opened up Ad Channel. Then I clicked on the code board and gave precognition insert. And when I did... Precognition and prophecies. Phantasmal General, New Gen. Shittily predicting the future of a precognition threat. Number, And DOD is one who want FES 10. Queen of precognition to kick their shit in. The Messiah, first precognition discussing. Fuck phantasm, threat, more like superstition. What do you guys think of phantasm prophetic songs? Ah yeah. Clear her precognition emo. Why phantasm are literally murderers pretending to have precognition. If you have had precognition dreams, get your ass in this thread. Trolls, get the fuck out. Logging off to hear fast prophecies recognition. IRL part 3. My search put a surprising number of threads, about 30 of them. Was precognition a hot topic on? With a gulp I checked the thread titles one by one.
Phantasm. FES.
Most of the threads contained those two keywords. In addition, New Gen discussion had also wormed its way in, with lots of unsettling terms like prophetic lyrics and murders being used. Having never heard of Phantasm before, I went to Google them. Apparently they were a Shibuya-based 4-piece gothic punk band that had been doing live concerts recently. They were so popular, in fact, that they were completely dominating the indie music scene, with a female vocalist known only as Faz. Anyway, to check whether it was related to precognition or not, I clicked on the thread at the top titled Precognition and Prophecies, Phantasm General New Gen 43, and gave the contest a brief skim. Ich würde aber sagen, dass ich an dem Punkt jetzt diese Folge hier beende. Vielen Dank fürs Zuschauen und bis zum nächsten Mal. Ciao.